Hello, and welcome to Sideways. This week, we're talking about what it's like when you feel like you've got nothing to do. Why we feel like that, what we can do about it, and why we can be so self-destructive with that particular emotion. We also talk about the young ones, petrol station queues, swinging, ramraiding bakeries, and wetting yourself. Boredom. What were you doing?
Just altering my light and stuff.
Altering your light?
Yeah, because it was sort of it was creating a bit of a fuzz across the screen.
Are you all set now?
Yeah, I'm ready, mate. Yeah, how about you?
Yeah, I'm fine.
I was able to rejig my notes as we've had one attempt at recording this that we seem to fail on.
Oh, so it took you about 20 seconds to bring that up then?
Well, I wasn't going to, but I thought I'd just give a brief introduction anyone.
Yes, you were. You were going to. Don't say you weren't going to mention it. You always were going to mention it.
Well, I was trying to put a positive spin on it because I didn't think when we tried to record it on Saturday, I don't think my notes flowed particularly well. So, I'm pleased to have a further opportunity. So thank you for messing up the recording.
I thought I was excellent on Saturday, and I definitely won't be able to meet that standard again.
You have a go. See how you get on.
I've checked out already because I've checked out already because I know I won't be able to do it. I mean, I was on fire on Saturday. I'm sorry. I feel like I need to apologise to our listeners because I've deprived them of probably my finest performance.
Yeah, it's like a lost bit of artwork, mate, isn't it? Never to resurface.
Yeah. So what happened? Go on, tell everyone.
Well, we went right way through my notes and we had normal discussions, and then you decided that you hadn't pushed the record button. So here we are again to record or to go over the same ground that we covered on Saturday. But this is Monday now, so I've had time to reflect and time to come.
To be honest, I think we should take joint responsibility for it because, as you pointed out at the end of our aborted attempt on Saturday, you said, "Yeah, I thought I didn't hear that little message at the start that said." This call is being recorded.
Yeah,
so you didn't say anything, did you?
I didn't know, but I put faith in you that was all happening. Sadly misplaced faith.
I would have thought you'd known me long enough now to know that you shouldn't take things for granted where I'm concerned.
No, I'm not. Should we crack on? This is getting a bit boring.
Well, you brought it up.
Oh, I said, yeah. I was just doing a segue into what we wanted to talk about.
What do we want to talk about?
Boredom. Do you remember?
I can't. No, I couldn't remember. Do you know? I thought we were talking about ego, but we did that last week, didn't we?
We did. Yeah. I mean, we did touch on this. We touched on it in last week's episode when we were doing ego, when we talked about the footballer Paul Merson who lapsed during lockdown.
That's right. I remember now.
Yeah, he lapsed back to his old gambling ways, and listening to him on Good Morning Britain, he was saying he lapsed due to boredom, really, where his life had been a series of highs and lows, and he'd got to that point in his recovery where things were where we all want to get to, really, where it was going too smoothly, but he couldn't deal with it, and he lapsed back into his old habits.
I wonder if sometimes, particularly if you've led a life of addiction. I wonder if you become so used to the chaos that it becomes quite comfortable in a strange sort of way, and that when you then do find yourself sailing your ship through calmer waters, it feels as if you've got to do something to mess it up.
Oh, you're right. Absolutely right. I think that's quite a neat little metaphor, but certainly it's something I remember myself. It's unusual. You feel uncomfortable when things aren't going wrong. And it takes a while to get used to that. You're always looking for the next bit of drama.
Do you think if you said to someone who's in recovery or had lapsed from their recovery, do you think if you suggested to them that actually unconsciously it's possible that they had tripped themselves up because they were too comfortable with their with the calm, do you think most recovering addicts would accept that, or would they say that's all bullshit?
No, I wouldn't. No, it does come up that exactly that conversation, that it can be a trigger for us, which is strange, isn't it? Thinking there's so many other triggers around, and you're striving to achieve some level of normality. When you get there, it can be a trigger on its own.
Does it come up so regularly that it becomes boring?
Nothing ever gets boring in the recovery community. Just before we start, though, talking of boring, it's a bit boring. These queues that are snaking round the corners at outside petrol stations at the moment. I'm not very good at queuing. I remember being very bored at Euro Disney when the children were young, and it's not something I like repeating. Yeah, no, that's an interesting thought, because I can remember I was in a queue. Nobody likes queuing, do they? I don't suppose anybody really is fond of it. If you can hear a lot of building work in the background, it's because my bathroom's being done, so apologies for that. I haven't heard anything yet, mate, no.
Well, I just heard him get his drill out, so we might be in for some for some carnage. I can remember being stuck in a traffic jam on the M6 many years ago for some considerable time, and I used the time very effectively and taught myself to whistle properly.
Did you?
Yeah. I am in the fortunate position of being able to say, if I run out of petrol, I just won't go anywhere.
I think, I'd like to think I'd be in that position, but there are alternative ways of travel, that's for sure. Mainly on foot or on a bike or whatever.
You'd have to carry, but if you were going to work, you'd have to carry all your clobber.
Well, that's the thing. It'd have to do several journeys, and I only do trips that are close to home.
You're carrying your ladders. You'd look like Eric Sykes from The Plank.
It would be very Laurel and Hardy.
You look a bit like Eric Sykes anyway.
Well, thank you. I'll take that as a compliment. Good-looking lad.
Or is it Eric Bristow you look like? I can't remember.
Anyway, should we crack on with boredom?
Why don't we do that?
We do that? I mean, I took the chance to revisit one of the episodes of The Young Ones that was called Boring. Now, and strangely enough, it was one of the least boring, or one of the least funny and most boring episodes, ironically.
Perhaps they intended that.
Perhaps they did. I don't know if it was quite that clever, but they may well have done. I mean, they were so bored they played Monopoly, and I think we all know that can be very, very tiresome. But I think it did make me. It still has the ability to make me laugh, even these many years on. In that particular episode, Vivian had written an alternative message on the chance and community chest cards to try and liven it up a bit. For one of them, he said, "You have won second prize in a beauty contest. Hit Rick with the bank," which really made me laugh. But all those phrases were very much the sort of soundtrack to our youth, weren't they?
Yeah,
we used those phrases were just trotted out a bit like people used to use Monty Python's a bit early on in the late 70s. Quite ironically, in that episode, also they got so bored they went to the Kebab and Calculator, which was a pub just down the road.
Oh, so they went off drinking because they were so bored.
It's a bit ironic, isn't it, for this podcast? But yeah, it's exactly what they did. It would have been it was a little bit less boring because Madness were playing in there, strangely enough.
Yeah, I'd still find that just as boring, to be honest.
Would you? Yeah.
Yeah. So just the thought that I had there. I think it was easier when we were young to be bored, wasn't it? You kind of expected boredom, and I'm not sure. I think possibly one of the difficulties people have with boredom these days is we're not kind of used to it, are we? We're almost being conditioned into thinking that we can live a life without any. And whereas when we were kids, there wasn't that much to do sometimes. We've spoken before about how on a Sunday nothing was open, you couldn't do anything. Anyway, that's just
but boredom, you've touched on it there. Boredom can be a problem for anyone. But the reason we're talking about it here is obviously because it can be a powerful trigger for those that have got substance use disorders. And when I looked at this and looked at the research on this, I just wanted to go through quickly, if I can, just the sort of the science behind the phenomenon.
Okay.
Is that all right?
You like a bit of science, don't you?
Well, it's very basic stuff here because, as we know, the brain naturally releases chemicals called neurotransmitters, like dopamine, as a way to reward certain behaviours such as eating a good meal or exercise or even sex. and this chemical release encourages you to repeat it. Now, when you take drugs into account, that creates a huge release of dopamine in the brain. And when we stop using it, it feels like life is sort of moving in slow motion. It's really weird. And I got the same effect when, giving up alcohol. Things just seem to slow right up. The early days in recovery seemed to really drag. It was a strange sensation.
So it's kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier, where you're creating, if you create such a sense of activity or anarchy or chaos in your life, then when you're living what one could describe, I suppose, as normally, whatever normal is, I don't know what normal is, but when you kind of come back to some sort of semblance of order, although for most people that would be quite a nice place to be, if you're coming from great highs and lows, it would then feel boring, wouldn't it? So stuff that wouldn't feel boring to someone else would feel boring if you're used to the highs and lows of addiction.
Yeah, I mean, normal behaviours are much less appealing, and people find themselves being bored in that situation. So I totally understand. I've experienced it myself, so I understand what that's like, and it can be tough.
Do you think, though, also the reason that people feel bored if they're in active addiction or they're kind of new into recovery is because they've lost the ability to two things. One, you kind of lost the ability to self-regulate, haven't you?
Yeah, totally.
And secondly, you've probably lost touch with all of those things that might have been enjoyable in your past, but whilst you're in the kind of madness of addiction, you just let go of them all, don't you?
You do. Nothing seems... Anything else is so far down the priority list below your drug of choice that they become insignificant. It takes over 100% of your time virtually.
So it's as if when you come into recovery, you're kind of rebuilding yourself, aren't you? And you're kind of you're relearning what you enjoy.
Yes, you are. It's a relearning what you enjoy, but it's a great chance to build up from a very low base. You can start again. You've got a clean canvas to paint on. It's really nice. You can start to rediscover things, and I'll come on to that in a moment. But sorry, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say that's part of the problem, isn't it? Because when you start with a blank canvas, you can think about this in the context of people in recovery, or even in a wider context of people generally in life. Some people respond well to a blank page. They feel excited at the prospect of finding something to fill it with, whereas other people feel overwhelmed at all of the possibilities, and therefore there are so many possibilities they end up doing nothing because they can't make a choice between any of them. And I suspect that recovering addicts tend to fall more into that category.
Probably, yes.
In the early days. In the
early days, definitely. You find yourself swinging between those two extremes. You really do. And it takes a while to settle down. But once you do start to engage in some of the smaller things which you'd sadly lost that give you joy, it then starts to... You start to understand why you're going into recovery.
Right. You might find yourself swinging between things, but you're not advocating getting into swinging as a way of relieving boredom.
Well, whatever releases your endorphins, dude. If the cap fits, I wouldn't encourage it. But I've not tried it myself.
Rather unfortunate phrase to use when it comes to swinging. I would have said that if the cap fits.
But what bored people tend to do generally, as we probably all experience, is that you can. It's very easy at that stage to overspend. You can sort of binge on a bit of retail therapy, and that can be on your mobile phone these days, or on your computer, on your iPad. Very easy, isn't it, to spend big, to get a little bit of it releases endorphins on its own, and then you've got when the package arrives, etc. It happens again.
A little gamble on the football.
That comes up. That comes up a lot. With boredom, a lot of people do that, and in the hands of an addict, a device that allows them to gamble online can be very, very dangerous.
Yeah, so the thing about retail therapy and people buying stuff and looking forward to the thrill of getting the package and opening it up, and that problem is all about trying to change the world outside of yourself rather than doing the hard work of changing the world inside yourself. So I think it's like the easy thing to do, isn't it? We buy stuff to make ourselves feel better, and we might get a little lift for about, half an hour if we're lucky. And then it's not new anymore, is it? And we're back to feeling the way that we did before. And I think, people feel very kind of disappointed that those sorts of things don't work. But the reason they don't work is because you're kind of looking in the wrong place to fix stuff. You are. And you can, the parallel there between that situation you just described and the taking of drink and drugs is plain to see. Yeah. And it's subject to the law of diminishing returns because, the more packages you get, it becomes less exciting. And the more drink and the more drugs that you take, again, you have to do it more often to get the same result. Mm-hmm. So, it's exactly the same situation. Yeah, and the more you do it, the more that you do of all of those things, the worse you feel about yourself and the more you need to do them. You do. I mean, I remember there was a chap came into groups and he was in recovery and he was talking about the boredom. Because he used to say that during his addiction, he used to get bored, as he did in early recovery, and he used to go out and thieve stuff because that released endorphins. He even got involved in ramraiding, and he said that the buzz from that was just incredible. Now, I'm not encouraging anyone to try that because I'm sure that there's a natural high. There's much nicer ways to get that, but it's thrill seeking, isn't it? It's thrill. That you're just looking for a buzz. You're looking for a buzz. I mean, I'll get a buzz from making a nice loaf, but I know that's not for everyone. I'm sure. Just ramraid a bakery, mate. I don't need to. That's the point, isn't it? I don't need to ramraid a bakery because I can recreate what I could get in the bakery at home. So I save myself the bother of ruining a car and being thrown in prison. Yeah, exactly. But everyone's a winner. It all works out for me. I can understand that. But another practice which we've heard is when people can become involved in risky sexual encounters, which can be incredibly dangerous when boredom sets in. He's speaking on behalf of a friend. Many friends, probably, yes. I've not done it myself, obvs. No, obvs. But yes, it does crop up from time to time. And again, looking at the easy access to those online now. So that can be an issue. And also we tend to find when we're bored, we can spend time with those around us that are negative influences on us. Well, yeah, as it's being illustrated currently for me. Oh, well, exactly. I think, there's a bit of both on that, That one cuts both ways. But anyway, I mean, if this boredom creeps in and a relapse occurs, which we've seen crop up quite often, it's very dangerous. I mean, we've had a situation really. I'm not sure if it was down to. Well, I'm pretty sure it wasn't down to boredom, but it's very sadly one of the guys that has been on our Zoom groups during lockdown has passed away, and that was due to an overdose. He's gone back to his old habit, and after a long period of not doing it, you go back and take the same amount of drink or drugs again, it can be fatal. And this has happened to this poor chap, which is really sad. And I think on top of that, the word on the street at the moment is that the heroin that's going around is quite heavily laced with fentanyl, which as we know, can be up to sort of 100 times stronger than heroin. So when you look at the statistics of overdoses increasing, it's been quite dramatic during lockdown because of the emotional turmoil, but also the fact that the drugs that are getting through are different and much harder and have created these issues. There can be a feeling of the inevitability of things never changing. That's a kind of boredom, isn't it? If you get to the point where you think this is what it's going to be like forever now, and it doesn't really, I don't feel stimulated by it. I don't feel interested in it. That sort of feeling can certainly push you into returning to use, can't it? Yeah, that's why you have to work at your recovery. It won't you don't just put down the drink and drugs and bang, everything's fine again. It really isn't. You have to work at it and change a lot of things in your life, and to force yourself through these barriers of having no motivation to do things to get to the next level. Yeah, it's lovely when you get there, but it can take some time and it can take a lot of effort. Yeah,
But overcoming boredom is something we've talked about in groups quite a lot, and it's quite tough because everyone's different. Because often you find that the problem is not that you've got nothing to do, but all the available options seem less appealing, or don't have no appeal, or they're not engaging or satisfying. And when I was researching this, it did come up with a few potential ideas for overcoming boredom. One of which was they're practicing mindfulness,
right?
Which you're probably in a better position than I am to sort of describe what mindfulness actually is and how that could work.
Mindfulness is all about staying in the moment, experiencing yourself as you are right now. And so I suppose the way that potentially helps boredom is that if you are feeling bored, that instead of resisting it, instead of pushing it away, instead of trying to, wrestle with it, you just accept that is your state right now. And you can remind yourself that, any emotion that we experience is transient. If you're angry or bored or happy, you're not going to stay like that forever. So your kind of willingness to experience the emotion that you're in that given moment is the thing that is likely to hasten you through it to something more comfortable. So I think that's probably why mindfulness would be useful. I think, though, if you're feeling agitated, particularly if you're in recovery and you're feeling like you want to pick up, the idea of being able to sit with your emotion is probably very, very challenging. But certainly I think that's where something like mindfulness could help. And it's also one of the reasons why with something like mindfulness, you have to practice it. People would talk about practicing mindfulness.
Yeah.
Because you can't do it as a one-off. It's not like a panacea, like taking a paracetamol. If you do it regularly, then what happens is you start to be able to more automatically move yourself back into a more serene state of acceptance than you can if, you're just flying by the seat of your pants all the time.
I agree. It's like meditation. When you first try it, I remember doing it in a group initially as a group of us, and I found it really, really tricky.
Yeah.
I think, people were laughing about it initially. It was quite tough, but eventually when I did it on my own and I was able to concentrate on it, I get a lot from it. But going back to that point, it needs to be practiced. It doesn't just happen, and it can't be a one-off. The point I wanted to move on to, which was quite smoothly from that, was about trying something new or re-engaging in old hobbies, and we touched upon it earlier on in this episode. But we always encourage that when people are getting bored, not only initially to pick up the phone, reach out, and because that can take you through some of the more difficult parts of your boredom. But joining a support group. And online now, there's so many options available to you. If you are feeling bored, get online and chat with some other people. You'll find the groups that are available throughout the world, 24/7 at the moment, is a great help. But re-engaging with my art was good for me, and I know other people have found joining a gym or starting. I remember someone starting up a new pottery class. Which is really good. But we also encourage, and something I did initially as well, was creating a daily schedule to follow. Because without that, I found I was quite rudderless. But once I'd written it down, once I got a schedule, I was quite lucky with my particular recovery hub, because they called it a rehab in the community project for 3 months for me. So I had this schedule to work for, and it was brilliant. And I was able to then to work through those 3 months back into a normal way of life. And also encouraged me to my key work, and encouraged me to write a journal, which I'd never done before. But I found that really, really helpful, because anything I had in my mind, I was able to put down, and it sort of moved any pain or angst I was having outside of my head and down onto the paper. And it released it somewhat. And I was able to then also had some notes then to discuss with my key worker next time I saw her, as to what I'd been writing down and why I was writing it down and how I was feeling. But it enabled me also then to mark my progress.
Yeah, well, you like structure, don't you?
Oh, yeah, I do. Yeah, very much. But another thing we need to do when we're looking at boredom is to examine our thinking about boredom. Because I think it's not fundamentally that different from any other challenging emotion, is it? I mean, I know it's a mixture of restlessness and dissatisfaction and lethargy. And, you get to that point, you want to do something, but you're not sure what. But using those same techniques that we learn sometimes to deal with other emotions like anger, I suppose, and anxiety.
It's not something that's bad for you. You know, allow yourself to be a little reflective and to notice uncomfortable emotion. I mean, we've spoken about this a lot of times. Uncomfortable emotion isn't bad. It's good for you to be okay with that because it happens. You can't have a life without uncomfortable emotion.
No, you can't. It's all part of having a balanced lifestyle, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've got to be in there. You've got to have a bit of that in there to make the balance work. A couple of quotations, if you don't mind.
Oh, God. All right.
Yeah, the first one is it's unattributed, but I'll run it by you. The two enemies of human happiness are pain and boredom. Not sure I like that one or not. What do you?
I don't like that. I
don't like it at all.
I don't. I don't think boredom is an enemy of human happiness. I think it's just an emotion. You might as well say sadness is a enemy of human happiness, which is essentially what pain is. Without pain, happiness wouldn't exist, would it? So that's bullshit, that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
No wonder it's unattributed then. No one would actually own up to that, would they? Well, we're going to another quote from our old friend Mahatma Gandhi.
Oh, he's popping up a lot, isn't he?
He is. I think that you should really, rather than calling your son Tom, you should have called him Mahatma, so he could be Mahatma Landy.
Well, you might think that's funny, but I suspect he would have been pretty unimpressed by that.
Well, I expect he would have given his contemporaries at school something to have a go at him about, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's about right.
Anyway, good old Mahatma, what he said is, I would rather die of passion than of boredom, which I do. I didn't like the last quote, but I do actually like this one.
Yeah, it's much better, isn't it? Because what Mahatma's saying is, because when you think about passion, passion can manifest. Doesn't always come from something that's good. Sometimes passion comes or brings about something that's very difficult or challenging or painful. But what he's saying is, live a life where you feel invested in stuff. Get involved in things, even if it's difficult, because that will always stave off a feeling of staleness. Yeah, he's smart, isn't he, Mahatma? He
is good. He's a good guy. I'm sure we can sort of shoehorn him into other episodes as well. He's got a lot to say. Or did have a lot.
He seems to be your favourite. He seems to be your go-to place for quotes at the moment.
He is at the moment. All the time. He's obviously he's not making any more new ones, but so it's a finite amount we've got to deal with.
You're going through his back catalogue, aren't you?
Yeah, just researching and finding there's a lot going on in his early years.
Yeah.
Anyway, probably time to move on to our gratitude lists.
Okay.
I mean, it's an easy one for me this week, but shall I go with that before we do yours?
First. No, yeah, you go first.
It's very easy for me because it's the reintroduction of our face-to-face meetings.
Lovely.
Which we had our first one on Saturdays since March 2020. Mm-hmm. So it's been a long time coming. And although we've been able to do some outside meetings, they're not quite as structured. As we were talking earlier on, I do like a bit of structure.
I do like a bit of structure. Not
quite as structured, but so it's lovely to see those people. There's people I'd only ever seen on Zoom. So it's great to meet up with them face to face. And it was a very productive meeting. It was well attended. Everyone was in good spirits, and long may that continue. So that's an easy one to add to my list this week.
It must have been nice to have, for people to get back together again and realise you managed to get through the last 18 months.
Yeah,
together. It's quite powerful.
Well, exactly. It was strange. Well, not strange, but I remember one of the participants. She was saying how, for her, Zoom was an absolute boon. She would not have been able to access the help she had because she uses a wheelchair. Geographically, it's quite difficult to get out and about to some places. So to have she's done all her recovery so far on Zoom, and she's just coming up to a year. Oh, she just completed a year, and we actually celebrated that on Saturday. It was the day before it had been a year. And that was one of our listeners, regular listeners, one of our biggest fans who did go through our back catalogue, and that was Ronnie. I've mentioned Ronnie before.
You have,
and so yes, it was great to catch up with everyone.
Lovely.
So I'm going to ask you to go for number 5 if I can.
Is that the number you chose when we aborted? We had an aborted attempt to record this on Saturday.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm keeping it the same. Yeah.
Oh, good. In which case, because I've deleted it from my list now, but I think I remember what it was. I think it struck me the other day when I was getting the puppy up and taking her out into the garden for a poo and a wee. And then when she comes back inside, first thing in the morning, just as it's getting light this time of year, she curls up again on the sofa and I go and make myself a cup of tea and I sit next to her and she's all cuddled up and it's all quiet. And I'm just watching the day, arriving. And it's a really lovely, quiet, reflective moment. And so sometimes those things on the gratitude list are not big ticket items. They're tiny little moments that when we notice them in our day and appreciate them, they seem to get more powerful. So that's this week's.
That's good. Actually, I had a little bit of feedback from your gratitude list for last week.
Did you? What did I say last week?
Well, it was about... Was it? No, it was the smell of secondhand bookshops.
Oh, yeah, great. Yeah.
Yeah. And Aaron, who's, again, one of our regular listeners, said how much he related to that because that's one of his favourites.
Very good.
And he is very much a book person, what are they called? People who like bibliophile.
Bibliophile, wouldn't it?
Yeah. He's a prolific reader.
Excellent.
But so actually, we'll move on to our Spotify search, if you like, because there is a little bit of black metal in there, a bit of French black metal.
Is there? Hang on. What's the type? Boredom? Being Bored? Pet Shop Boys?
That's the first one on my list. In fact, when I was writing these notes, I'm often thinking as I'm going through about tracks to look up. I didn't even have to look that one up, obviously, because Being Boring is just a great track, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So there's another track called Boring by someone called Daisy Brain, which I quite liked.
Daisy Brain's quite good. It's a nice kind of trips off the tongue, doesn't it? Daisy.
It does, yeah. He's a songwriter, singer-songwriter from London. And then another track that immediately sprang to mind was Boredom by Buzzcocks. And as you know, I'm a big Buzzcocks fan.
Yep. Yeah.
But the one I went for in the end to go on our list, I think probably because I liked the name of the group more than anything. But it's not a bad track. It's called Boring Girls by an American hardcore punk band called Pissed Jeans, which I really liked.
Yeah, I can. Even without listening to that track, I can imagine what it sounds like.
Oh well, you ought to listen to. I had the opportunity to listen to a few of their tracks, and they're all very good.
I probably won't be, but I'm interested to know, have you ever pissed your jeans?
Have I ever pissed my jeans? Well, I think any discerning alcoholic would tell you that yes, that's happened.
Yeah.
You can very easily lose a bit of control in that area of your body. So yes, definitely done that on more than one occasion whilst on the juice.
Perhaps that's one of the reasons it attracted you to the song.
Perhaps it was. It was a double whammy.
Yeah, you could identify with it.
Yeah, I liked the name. I could identify with it, and I could, and I liked the sound of the track. So give it a listen anyway. You'll love it.
I definitely won't. But
okay,
there we are. Yeah. All right.
All right. Well, that's me pretty much done for a second time.
Good. So I just went slightly cold, thinking, did I press the record button today?
Well, I did. The voice was on at the beginning of the episode, beginning of the meeting. So, and it does say recording in my top left-hand corner of the screen. So I've been pretty comfortable all along that this time you have actually discharged your responsibilities correctly.
Yeah, well, I'll take it on the chin. Everyone makes mistakes. It's the first time I've forgotten to press record in 87 episodes. So
it's not bad, is it? Really, not bad. We'll have to do one on mistakes.
Well, we've done failure, haven't we?
Yeah, I think yes, we have. Yeah, we touched on it, didn't we? Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Excellent.
I'll talk to you later.
Good work. Thanks, mate. Bye.
Bye. Sideways was created by Graham Landy and Martin Pankhurst. If you want to read more about our work or sort through the extensive archive of past episodes, just visit grahamlandy-wellbeing.co.uk/sideways-podcast. You can follow us on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram at Sideways Podcast, and you can email us if you have a question or if there's something you'd like us to cover. But most of all, we want to tell you how grateful we are that you come and listen, and we ask that if you've enjoyed what you've heard, that you spread the word. And we'll see you next week.